I think my whole life I've been landing in situations where I didn't belong. I felt like I fit in pretty well as a junkie, as a meth head, as a guy who had a girlfriend who was a prostitute. In those places, I think I felt, fit in really easily and really well. My first experience was my very first experience was I was very sick with something. I don't remember what was wrong with me, but, in the 60s, they were prescribing some messed up stuff. I was given barbiturate, which is a really, really strong sedative. And I just loved it, as a little kid. And the first one was pot, and then a lot of acid, which was just a wonderful thing to do. Just mind-blowing. Heroin was, it was always like heroin chic, people doing heroin. It was like a really cool thing to do. And I knew some drug dealers that were doing it, and they asked me if I wanted to do it. And of course, just like that first time, have you done it? No, but I want to. And I did it. And, it's an intense drug. You do it without, if you don't have a habit, an addiction, you get really sick. You get vomit, and the next day you have a terrible hangover. But I quickly worked through that, and I had a habit in no time. And yeah, and I loved it. It was such a great drug. It's like as close as you can get to dying without actually dying. You're almost overdosing. I've got a drug problem. I've got a mental illness. It's really kicked my ass. I met Tim in 1980. I had a girlfriend named Tammy. Don't ever date someone named Tammy. And he had a girlfriend named Melissa. This is right in the beginning, and we switched girlfriends immediately. We went out with the other's girlfriend, and he was larger than life. And Tim and I just have never had a friendship like that with anyone. And then he called one day and said that I needed to get out to California because he was sick. He came, he got the virus. And that's what friends do, They ask, on his end, they ask you, they tell you, I need you here. And of course we were younger and you could do that, right? It didn't matter that you were going to blow your whole fucking world up. If you had a job or whatever you had and all your relationships. And I just flew out there, and man, was it messy. He was in an AIDS ward, and the thing was, you should have seen how Tim suffered. I mean, it was horrible. I remember his oncologist saying, "I'm going to be direct with you. You're a mess. This is terrible. This is no way to live. Do you want to live like this, or would you like us to figure out something else?" And he said, I want to live. And the truth is and was that when you're that age, the alternative is, you don't want to go. And you'll fight and you'll fight and you'll fight despite the fact that there was no hope for him. And he wasn't the only one who fought like that. But I can see that. I understand why people fight so much. I imagine I wouldn't be somebody who would fight. I would just die. And eventually I started working in needle exchange, and all because of AIDS. And I I think the ad in the paper said something like, must have experience with drug use, and HIV and prostitutes. I don't know, just like the three things that and when I had the interview, my future boss, he said, are you like planning, is this like an investigative journalism? He didn't believe that I was serious about it because of my experiences. I think he thought I was making it all up. So we started needle exchange programs, and the one that I worked at was actually a legal one in Western Massachusetts, the first one. And I got a job working at 4th Street Clinic to run their harm reduction program. And I got another job as the executive director of the Utah Harm Reduction Coalition, which was the first harm reduction coalition here. And I hired just wonderful people to work with me. They're all great people who now are all doing so well. We had an office here, we had one in Denver, and we had one in Washington, D.C. I got a pretty good career going, and it was really great until I got diagnosed with bipolar, and then it all fell apart, of course. So. Being diagnosed with bipolar disorder has been a misblessing, only because there was something about the ignorance of not knowing what was wrong with me. I liked being mad. Everybody thought I was mad, Now I have a mental illness. And for my whole life, I've been living with it. It affects my behavior sometimes. I'll get really angry. I'll get really desperate, really anxious. The anger is the thing I like the least. I mean, I've done the classic, there's these classic things that you do. Spent outrageous amounts of money over long periods of time that I did not have. Yeah, I don't know. There's something wrong with me. There always has been. It's a pain in the ass. My life would have been very different if I wasn't bipolar. The drugs were a result of the bipolar. I'm certain of that. That many drugs, the amount I did. There's parts of me that I really like. Of course, the bipolar part happens to be part that makes me somewhat interesting. I just wish that I wasn't so unhappy. It's a real drag, man. It's just useless. I don't want to say it's a drama, but maybe we just manufacture things in our lives that keep us from going completely crazy. Because the earth is a desperate and horrible place. And I feel it's our responsibility to do something about it, to do more about it. I really like to do stuff for others and less for yourself, because really, nobody gives a shit about what you do for yourself. I know that's not the mental illness talking.